Hello everybody. Welcome back. Week 12, under wraps. I was considering not doing an intro, but I just feel like it would not be the podcast without an intro. So, without further ado, Dre, this is for you. Hey Dre, are you listening? Hey Dre, your team's glistening. I'm coming for more. Beat you like week 4. Walking into playoff land. There's only one champion. There's only one champion. Walking along, singing a song. Walking into playoff land. Hope you enjoyed that. I'm not a singer, as you can tell. All right. What a week. What another week. Another week under wraps. We're on to week 13, which means there's only 2 more weeks of the regular season, which means there are teams that have been officially eliminated, and there are teams that have clinched a playoff spot officially. I talked about it last week. There's already some teams that have pretty much clinched the spot, but it's official. Austin, Whitney, and I have officially solidified ourselves into playoffs, which is exciting. Last year, I did so bad in all leagues. I don't think I hit playoffs in one league. So it's been a couple years since I've experienced playoffs. It's a one and done. It's a scary game. It's pretty nerve-wracking. I would like to say I don't get nervous about it, but I do. I get a little tuned into this, and I get nervous on Sunday for playoffs. Absolutely for playoffs. But now it's all about seeding. And there are still some teams that need to make playoffs. There's one spot, and in my opinion, it's not official. I think I would need to look into it a little bit more, but I think there's a chance that Dre's could miss playoffs. But with the points that they've scored, it's pretty much impossible. Unless Eric's, which would be the closest 5-6 team that would take their spot, or 5-7 team that would take their spot, he would have to score a lot, catch up on points and pass, and then for one of them to go 0-2, but that's not going to happen. So Dre's have we've pretty much have the playoff. Who's going to be in besides that last spot? And I'll go over that a little bit today. But you've got Austin, Whitney, and I who have, according to Yahoo, officially solidified our playoff spots. There's no way we don't make it. It's impossible. And then there's both Dre's who have made it. Now it's all about seeding. Who can get that first round bye? Who is not going to get the first round bye, and then who's getting that last playoff spot? And so I was curious, I would love to still be in first, but I'm not in first anymore. Congratulations, Austin, being first. Pass me in points. My team is 1-3 in the last. I believe I'm 1-3 in the last. I've lost 2 straight. Pretty sure I'm 1-3. I'm either 1-3, 2-3 in the last 5, but it has not been a good month for me. So I'm hoping to turn things around. And it's been a direct effect, I think, of I think the beginning of the year I was doing really well because Neighbors and Jefferson were going off, and those were 2 really good duos. And of course it helps to have Chase, but Neighbors and Jefferson have definitely cooled down, and so is my team. So I think that's a direct correlation, along with not starting the right people. I think there was a chance for me to win if I would have started the right people, but I always hate to play that game in my head because then I just freak myself out and get all upset. But I was wondering, okay, I'm not first anymore. How many times has the first seed won in the last, let's say, 4 years? I only went back 4 years. And it's only one time. So this last year, Austin was the first seed. He was over Nate. He got first. Ended up winning it. The year before that, I think it was Glue Sniffer. He ended up getting second. I mean, there's an asterisk there. The year before that, 2021, first seed got fourth place. Year before that, 2020, first seed got fourth place. And fourth place, if you got the first seed, that's the worst place you can get. So 2 years in a row in 2020 and 2021. I didn't look at 2019, but those 2 years, you got fourth place. You bypassed the first, so the worst you can get is fourth, and both teams got fourth. And then I was kind of curious. Okay, what were the records? Like, is there a chance for, like, I don't know, is there a better chance, or is there statistically a better opportunity to get first if you sorry, Amanda, I don't know why. Okay, so I've got Sammy, our dog, who as soon as I start talking, she usually goes and eats food or does a happy dance or makes some kind of noise, shove a toy in my lap, and I don't understand. It's always when I like get busy and when I start the podcast. And then every time Amanda goes over, has her snack, and she can't help but fill her bowl full of food in the world's loudest faucet. Oh, and then it completely distracts me. She's gonna go choke on a cookie. Okay. Anyway, as I was saying, so I was wondering over the last 4 years that I looked, what were the records of first place? 2020, 9-4. Who was that? I don't know who that was. I think that was Luke. 2021, the team that won was 7-7. I think that was Austin. And then if you consider Eddie the winner, which we did, 8-6. And then last year, 10-4. So there is literally from 7 to 10, there was a difference every year in the last 4 years of the record of first place. So it just it just shows you anybody can win. Brian, if he makes the playoffs, he can win. Eric, if he makes playoffs, he can win. Nate, if he makes playoffs, he can win. Always, if you're in the playoffs, you're in the race for a championship. So there's still a lot of ball left to play. And there's a big push to get out to playoffs, to get that first week bye, and to go for that championship. Because that's why we play the game. And unfortunately, there is some bad news. There are 2 teams that were officially eliminated, Eddie and Paul. Sorry, gentlemen. But although you guys have been eliminated, there's an opportunity to crush someone's playoff hopes. And if it was me, I got nothing to lose. I'm going for, this is just me. I'm going for those huge upside guys. I'm going to go risk it for the biscuit and just go balls to the walls on, like, I'm putting out some random lineups. Like, I'm not going to lose, but I'm going to go win. I'm trying to crush someone. If I can affect and crush someone's playoff hopes, I want people to be as miserable as I would be if I know I'm missing playoffs. So keep at it, you two. We always want to keep the league competitive. I hope you guys, still stay fairly active and crush someone's dreams. And I was going to go over power rankings, but I really don't think it's relevant. Like, it doesn't matter. And I just went over the records. You could be 7-7 and win a championship. And I don't know if you can hear that or not, but there it goes, Sammy. Freaking slurping water as loud as possible. Jesus. Okay, there are some things in the works. I was thinking about going out, getting a better camera. I want to get a better video. Like you can see in the this way. This top up here. There's this StreamYard bull crap. I didn't realize I was paying like $40 a month for streaming services, and then there goes the other dog. Jesus. I was paying $40 a month on streaming services to have like my own logo and for like the camera to be wider, and I just felt like that was ridiculous. So I'm not paying that. So I don't know if video quality's worse or not, but you're just gonna have to deal with it. And another thing, I started to mention I would like to get a better camera. I want to get an intro video. I know I've mentioned it in the past, and that's my goal for this next year. I want a better setup. I want a better camera. I want an intro, just a constant intro, and then a better space. And we're working on that. By next year, we plan on having a second house or like more stable house. Looking at a ranch. We're hoping, crossing our fingers. But next year, I will definitely be having an upgrade. I know I mentioned that earlier this year, but I want you guys to hold me to it. Back to fantasy football. Got off track there. But yeah, I think instead of going off power rankings because anybody can win, I think we're going into playoffs soon, and every win is so important. So I thought about going over different scenarios. And I will go through every person that is playoff relevant. Sorry, Eddie. Sorry, Paul. It is what it is. So I thought we'd start off with the three that are battling for the last playoff spot. And here we'll jump into maybe doing a little scouting here. Oh, geez. I'm all over the place. Here we go. I guess we could go over a recap real quick. Huge win for Brian. I think I was completely wrong on that one. So, Josh Jacobs, 3 touchdowns, definitely helped. Eric had a good week. Unfortunately, he went up against a team that was better this week. I think overall, Eric has a better team, but not on week 12. Tough loss for me. If I won that one, I was pretty much clinching the first round. Yes, I was pretty much clinching the first round bye because this week it's Austin versus Whitney, which is going to be a big game. That's going to determine a lot. But this last week, we had Austin absolutely go berserk with Saquon Barkley. That freaking guy scares me going against him. And I swear, if Austin wins with Saquon again... Okay, Austin, if you win with Saquon, that guy deserves a jersey bought by you and framed in your household or somewhere. Because if you win because of him, that's 2 championships you've won because of him. So I hope that's not the case, but we'll see. We'll see. He's absolutely going berserk right now, and I don't know how you stop that. It's not like the Rams are a bad defense. So that's a scary team to watch. That is definitely, I hate to say it, but the guy just found a way to win. And always finds a way to win and always finds a way to be relevant. Austin, good job. Got a good team. Hate to say it. Had a blow to J.K. Dobbins, but I think you can find some replacements. You always find a way to find some good replacements. And then you had Mr. Organic, Dre, with a nice win this week. Needed that. If he lost, then he was kind of in that pool of could be in, could be out. Whitney with another win. I think that's 7 straight. That's absolutely berserk. 7 straight wins. Which means Whitney started 1-4. Dang. What a comeback. Nice job, Whitney. That's very impressive to win 7 straight. I mean, there's always hot weeks, and that's, I think, a huge thing is your team getting hot at the right moment. Can Whitney sustain it? I mean, she's sustained it for the last 7 weeks. Why not? So we'll see. And then Drake Campbell doing it again. Even like on his worst week, one of his worst weeks. His freaking floor is around 110, which is crazy. Amon-Ra St. Brown wasn't really that relevant. David Montgomery left early. Joe Mixon had a really bad game. Brock Bowers had a bad game. Like, you go down the list, and they're all bad games. There was some luck here with Jaden Daniels getting freaking garbage time touchdowns and coming back, going absolutely crazy. So that was pretty hard to watch on this side. And then I thought Kyler Murray was going to do better, but Sam Darnold apparently was going off. Justin Jefferson had a really bad day. Malik Neighbors, I didn't get him involved till the second half. It was a rough week for me, but I'm gonna stick with my guys. I've got some thoughts moving forward. Maybe make some adjustments. Have to look at some key matchups, but moving on to this next week, we got ourselves a race. We got ourselves a race for that last playoff spot. Like I said, I'm going to go over some different scenarios. So, Brian, who is in 6th place, has that last playoff spot. Brian has the fate. Brian has fate right in his hands. He has control, which is nice. He can determine his own outcome by just winning out. Obviously, if Brian wins out, he makes the playoffs. He's good. He doesn't need to rely on anything else. But let's just say, for example, another scenario. I'm gonna do scenarios for this week. There's a few different scenarios that we could kind of go down a few different rabbit holes. But for this week, Brian needs obviously to win, which would be he's going against Nate, I believe. Yeah, he's going against Nate. So if he wins, he's 2 games on Nate. And then also, actually, he would clinch the last playoff spot with not just a win this week, but also if Eric loses. So if Brian wins, Eric loses, Brian is 2 games up on each of those guys. And then playoffs are pretty much determined from there. Playoffs are determined in the last week is basically just all we care about is seeding. So those are the scenarios for Brian if he wants to clinch the playoff spot, win out, or if he wins this week and Eric loses, clinch the playoff spot. Nate, obviously, option 1. Nate wins out and Eric loses 1. Nate is beating Brian on points. So if they're tied, and I'm assuming point standing are going to stay the same. So like Eric is ahead of points on both of them. I'm going to assume after week 14, after the regular season, that's going to still be the case. It's going to be pretty tough for unless Eric goes on his two game stretch where he has the 50 points per week. Chances are these two aren't going to catch. I mean, Nate can, but it's going to be pretty tough. So for Nate, obviously win out. He would need a win out. And then Eric lose one of the next 2 weeks. And then Nate clinches his playoff spot because he goes against Brian this week. Option 2 would be a win and Eric lose out and Brian lose out. So there's a couple options there. There's a couple options for any of these guys to make playoffs. So it's not like you need one certain scenario to happen. But yeah, let's say if Nate wins this week, obviously, because if he loses this week, that means Brian wins. And then, so this is a must-win week for Nate. It is win or go home. So win this week, and then Eric loses both weeks. Brian loses both weeks if Nate loses next week. So that's the second scenario. So those are 2 options for Nate to win and make playoffs. Eric, kind of, even though he's behind, he does have an advantage in points. And unlike Brian, Nate and Eric need other things to happen, not just them win. They need other things to happen in order for them to make the playoffs. So Brian has like all the power. If he wins out, he makes playoffs. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. But the other two need not only to win, but other things to happen. So for Eric, win out, and Brian lose one of the next 2 weeks is scenario 1. Scenario 2 would be Eric wins. If Eric only wins one of the next 2 weeks, he needs Nate to win this week, and for then Nate to lose next week, and Brian to lose next week. That's only if Eric wins one of the next 2. And that would be interesting. That would really be actually an interesting scenario because we would have a 6-7 team making the playoffs, or 6-8. We would have a 6-8 team. We'd have a losing record make the playoffs. I don't know if that's happened. I'm sure. I don't think it's happened. I mean, I could go back and look, but chances are I would say that is not going to happen. So those are the wants/needs for the teams trying to make playoffs: Nate, Eric, and Brian. And for Brian even can get some better seeding. Brian's not getting a first round bye. He would have to score like 400 points in the next 2 weeks. It ain't happening. So that's a scenario for you guys. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. So flipping the page, my notes. Moving on and looking at scenarios for securing bye. The first round bye. There's a chance there, and that's why, like, with it being so close, 5th place is only 1 game behind 1st place. So there's a chance for any 5 of these teams to get the first round bye. So there is very much an incentive to win the next 2 weeks. There is no kind of like, we got a bye week, whatever. Honestly, if Mr. Organic, okay, let's say scenario, I'm just popping this up in my head. Let's say Mr. Organic and Mr. Dre Campbell both lose this week. Then next week, I mean, they can obviously, like, you're not actually out there physically playing, but next week really doesn't matter. Because, I mean, in my eyes, if you're the 3rd seed or that you're the 6th seed, it doesn't really matter. It's just because you don't know. Like, if you're 3rd seed, you're going against 6th seed. If you're 5th seed, you're going against 4th seed. So any one of the 4 teams could go off. So in my eyes, you don't know what seed is the best seed to go with. So if these 2 lose this week, next week they don't even care. I mean, you're just taking a week off. You watch some football while not stressing about your team. The only time you stress is if you get like an injury. That's all you're just hoping no one gets injured. But scenario for each team in the hunt for a bye week. Here are the scenarios. Austin, power ranking, power position. Obviously, he's got, so out of the 5, you've got Dre Campbell with the most points. And but Austin has a record and points on the other 8 and 4 teams. So Austin is in power position. I mean, I'm 50 points behind. That's gonna be pretty tough to catch up. It's not impossible, but with Saquon going off, damn well should be. I mean, it might as well be impossible to catch him in points. So with Austin, to secure a first round bye, obviously win out. If you win out, first round bye, you're good. Because you're going against Whitney. So win out, even if she catches you in points somehow, which doesn't make sense, it won't happen. You're getting the first round bye. And I'm not going like who's first, who's second. First and second get first round bye. You just need one of the two spots. Another scenario is Austin could, if wins this week, beats Whitney, a game ahead of Whitney, and then I lose this week. He's then a game ahead on everybody. Worst case scenario, on the next closest team, and he's got points. So those two scenarios help Austin get first round bye. Pretty straightforward. Whitney obviously went out. Whitney's in second. Oh no, I'm sorry. No. If Whitney wins out, so she would beat Austin. She would take over Austin and then be either first or second, depending on points. Probably second if I went out. Let's hope so. But obviously went out. Will secure first round bye. Another scenario: win this week, so you beat Austin, and then plus I lose, so then a game ahead of the next person. Plus Dre Campbell lose this week, because then if some scenario where Whitney loses next week, Dre Campbell wins next week, then she's still a game ahead. And then next week, Nate wins, Mr. Organic loses. So Whitney is rooting for me to lose, Dre Campbell to lose, and then if I lose, that means Mr. Organic wins. So then she would need Nate to win next week. That's if she wins one at it only this week and not next week. So that's another scenario. So a lot has to happen if she doesn't win out. Unfortunately, Whitney is working against points. Out of the 5, she's got the lowest. Not to say she couldn't pass Mr. Organic. She's only like 27 off. But I'm just assuming points for position is going to stay the same. For me, I've got the fate in my own hands. Obviously, if I went out, I'm in second, and I will stay at the very worst in second. So if I went out, first round bye. Austin, another scenario, if I only win one of the next two, if I only win next week or this week, I would need Austin to win to secure Whitney losing, and then Dre Campbell to lose one of the next two games. Or he would only need to win one of the next two games. So either I win out or I win one of the two, Austin wins this week, and then Dre Campbell loses, I secure. And that would be, if that happened this week. So if Austin won, Dre Campbell loses, and I win next week, I essentially then have 2 first round buys. Not first round buys, but I have 2 bye weeks, because the next week won't matter for me. The following week won't matter. Next person, Dre Campbell, win out. If you win out, who do you play? Dre Campbell plays Paul, and then Dre Campbell plays Whitney. Oh, okay. So if Dre Campbell, in order to secure first round bye, win out, and then I would have to how does that work? Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's why. Dre Campbell would win out. I would have to lose one of the next 2 games, and then Whitney would have to win this week. So in order for how does that work? Yes. I'm starting to confuse myself a little bit. So obviously, if Dre's got me on points, he would need Whitney to lose this week. That's right. Okay, so he would need Whitney to lose this week because he plays Whitney next week. if Whitney loses, then he catches her on point, or he passes her on points, and then next week, then if they go against each other, obviously he would have to beat Whitney. If Whitney beats him, then she takes back the record over him. Got it. Okay. So yes, Whitney needs a win this week, but then Dre would need to win next week, and then he would need me to go 1 and 2. If Dre Campbell wins 1 of 2, then Dre Campbell would need me to lose out, would need Dre to lose next week, because Dre plays me this week. So if I lose out, that means Dre gets a win. So then Dre would need to lose next week, and then Whitney lose out, or would need Austin to lose out. So like if Whitney won, if she won next week, but Dre wins this week, then Dre needs Austin to lose. Dre's just rooting for everybody to freaking lose, apparently. Mr. Organic. There's a lot that needs to happen for you to make the first round bye, but it's doable. Dre would obviously need to win out, and then me lose out, and then Dre Campbell to lose this week, plus Austin win this week, and then Whitney lose next week. I think that's the only scenario. So there's a lot, but there's a chance. And I mean, anybody can win, so it's not far fetched. But those are the different scenarios. I hope you guys followed along, because I barely can. Honestly, if you have questions, you can ask me. I kind of nerd out on this stuff. I spent too much time at work doing this when I should have been working. I actually didn't spend too much time. It was like maybe half an hour, but I was just trying to be ready for the podcast, not miss any. I'm gonna cut this to the podcast short today, so I don't really have too much to go over. I don't want to do any kind of predictions. I already feel like I'm jinxing myself with my little tune at the beginning. So hopefully that doesn't bite me in the ass. But we'll see. Yeah, I was really hoping to get a win this week, because then I feel like I was completely in control of first round bye. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. So, roll with the punches. It is Thanksgiving. I hope everyone has a good holiday season. There are 3 big games. I mean, you've got definitely some relevant players. You've got CeeDee Lamb playing, and that's a big player for Brian. Brian needs CeeDee Lamb to produce. Brian needs a win. Everybody needs a win. Everybody needs a win. It's coming down the wire. I love this time of the year. This is my favorite part of the year. I like the beginning. We got the beginning of the year. You kind of like, is my team going to be good? Is it going to be bad? I don't know. And then you kind of find out. You get in your groove. You maybe lose a groove a little bit. But now we are in the time where it's winning time. Like, it is win or go home. I love that part. I'm excited. I'm jacked up. I'm going to try to do something a little bit more special before playoffs for the podcast. We'll see. Try to come up with some ideas. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Good luck to everybody, except for Mr. Organic. Peace out.